To make an animation, you need to take the frames that you exported from Illustrator as JPEGs and put them into Photoshop. So here's our images. I'm going to open up Photoshop and start by going to Scripts, File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack. This allows us to load more than one file in at a time into Photoshop. I've put all the files in one folder, so I'm going to hit Browse, and this is straight into the folder that I placed them in. You might have to find the file in the same location you put them. Hit OK. All I did was click on the first one, hold Shift and hold the last one, and it selected all of them. Hit OK. And it will just take a moment to load each of the images into the Photoshop file as a layer. Now you need to make sure that the timeline is up. So that's Window, Timeline. And as you can see, each of the layers or frames has loaded in, and they're first one at the top, fifth at the bottom. And what we're going to do is now create our timeline. There's a button down here, and there's two options: create video and create frame animation. You need create frame animation. Once that's in place, you click on it and it starts your timeline. This is the first occurrence of our character in the original position. And so what I'm going to do is make sure that layer is selected, the eyeball is on, and I click New Frame, which it has done. Turn off the top frame, select the second one, and once again make a new frame by clicking the button next to the trash can. Now I have two frames in my animation, 1, 2, so it's in the air. The third one here should be this frame, so make sure it's selected and visible and create a new frame. Now I have the original, the second and the third. Now for this fourth frame, I want it to drop back to this middle position. So what I'm going to do is highlight that, go back to my second frame, make that my fourth image, and then I want to go back to my first frame. That's my next image. So I'll demonstrate what's happening here. First frame, second, halfway up, top of the bounce, coming back down, and then original position. Now we're going to bounce down, so I'll click on that last frame, and the bounce down cells or frames are down here. There's two of them, so the first one is number 4 for me, and I'll make that a frame. 5 is my next frame, and then it's going to bounce up towards my original position, so I need to put 4th frame back in. I don't need that 9th frame because it's a duplicate, so I'm just going to dispose of it, right click, dispose, or you can grab it and drag it to the bin. So my last frame will then lead on to my first, which is the original position. There's my timeline. Select the first frame, hold down Shift and the last frame, and we're going to set the time that each frame is visible. I'm putting it at 0.2 seconds, and afterwards you can always alter it to see what's going to work best. We want to change this from once to forever, so we can actually see it looping, and then we can hit play and it will preview the animation for us. So it's bouncing. I'm just going to stop it. If I wanted it to do a double bounce, squash, squash, and then jump in the air, I would just need to put in extra versions of my fourth and fifth frame, but I'll keep it simple and I'm happy with what I've got. So I'm going to save it. I go File, Save for Web. Important step. Need to make sure up here that you have GIF selected, and probably with the colors that we have, we don't need a high amount of colors. It makes the file bigger, so you should be able to reduce it to 16 colors which appear here. That's your image size. So if you want to keep it original image size, you can do that. Make sure it says looping forever. You can test it by playing it, but I'm happy. It tells me how big it's going to be, 60 kilobytes. I hit save, and I just need to save it to a folder. So I might just go in and save it with my other files, my documents, and here under digital, I'm calling it Orange Bounce. Put your name in the title and then hit save. That's done. You could actually save this Photoshop file to retain the layers in case you want to edit it later on. Let's have a look at what we've got. Here's the bounce file, so I'll double click and it will by default open in a web browser. As you can see, there's my looping animation of a bouncing orange. Hope you have great success with your own animations.